Welcome everyone to NoDQ.com's live panel predictions video for AEW WrestleDream 2025. WrestleDream will take place in a classic wrestling city, which is St. Louis, Missouri. Let's go ahead and get everyone's thoughts on the 2025 edition of WrestleDream. Oof, I'm going to start with you first on this one. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for this pay-per-view event?
I would say I'm probably at a 7.5. Last night's just the dynamite portion of the 3-hour event got me really hooked in. That Moxley Darby segment was pretty cool. It was really good. The cinema, I don't want to use that word, but that's the best word I can think of, was really great how they shot it. However, it brought the grade down a little because they should have left it there, but then they came back into the arena. So were we supposed to believe that Darby was hurt all that time? But taking that away, I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to my girl Toni Storm versus Kris Statlander. That is a match that I'm really, really excited for. And overall, yeah, I'm at a 7.5. Should be a good show. Again, we talk about how AEW does pay-per-views. They're going to be action-packed, and we'll talk about it. What is going to happen in that I Quit match, or what will not happen? But all I know is I'm excited to talk about it with you guys. So yeah, 7.5 for this Saturday show.
All right, that's pretty solid. Dave, I'll throw it over to you now. What's your excitement level based off of this card and what we know from AEW pay-per-views, their reputation? They always put on great events. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm at about a 6, I think, but I agree with Hoofman. As much as I'm sick of the Death Riders, that was a well done presentation with Darby and Mox. That's the kind of things you want story-wise from them. You wish you could get that more often, because it brought a little more realism, and instead of the jumping everybody in the ring all the time. I liked it. And then the scene with Pac at the end, and you see the blood on the glass, and it was a cool segment. And also I like Toni Storm, but I like Kris Statlander, and I'm glad they gave her a championship, because she's been a hard worker and she's had some bad luck injuries, because she was big when they first came out in 2019, 2020, but then she got that major injury right off the bat. But I like her, and I'm glad they're pushing her for real this time. But I'm about a 6, I would say, though.
Yeah, I'm tending to agree with you on the number, Dave. I'm going at about a 6, mostly because I know the pay-per-view will be great. They always deliver, but man, this just feels like the most throwaway card. On paper, it's solid, but I do feel like if there was ever a skippable AEW pay-per-view, this would be one. If it wasn't my job to buy the pay-per-views and review them and do the streams, I'd skip this one. I wouldn't want to be ordering every single pay-per-view when you're paying $40 to $50 for each one. Matthew, what are your thoughts on this? It's a lot to ask for, $40 to $50 every single month. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I'm kind of with Dave. It's a 6 for me. This card, it looks like, and it's, I hate to use the WWE term, but it looks like a Vince card. It's just rematches that we've seen how many times, except for 2 matches. You know, every match on this card we've already seen. Some of them we saw last night. And it's just, it just doesn't feel like it's got that big of impact. And I'm wondering if, one, did the whole thing with Andrade cause a big thing? Because you would have expected there to be an Omega match on the card, and he's not even on the card now, though he probably could get involved in one match. But really, to me, the only match the 2 matches I'm looking forward to most is Hangman and Joe, and then Statlander and Toni. Because unfortunately, I know the Darby Moxley match is not going to be end of the feud, and it's going to be a complete another cluster block.
Yeah, you're probably right on that one, but let's go ahead and get into these matches. Shout out to Big Baller G, the real Big G. in the house, in the chat room, moderating in case any of those certain users that like to spam the chat come in. Thank you for that, Big G. And of course, Oof is here to make sure that people stay in check. Let's go ahead and get to the matches. We have 8 main card matches right now that are confirmed. Those are the matches we will be predicting. Let's break it down and get this ball rolling, baby, as Big G would say. First up, we are going to discuss the TNT Championship match. I guess this is the 5th match in their series. I was not aware of that. That's how little I've been paying attention to it. But as Matthew said, it's another rematch. They've done it at least 4 times now. We got Kyle Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe. Kyle defending against Briscoe, who's coming off of a little bit of a momentum run as of late. He did beat MJF, and that was arguably the biggest win of his career. So can he keep the momentum going against Kyle Fletcher and win the TNT Championship? Could Kyle potentially drop it and move on back into the world title picture? What do you guys think about this one? Or will Kyle hold on to it for a bit longer and then eventually get into the world title picture? Dave, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on this one? Who do you see leaving with that prestigious TNT Championship?
Well, first of all, for Big G, go Steelers tonight. I think that Kyle's keeping it. I don't think it's time to take it off of him. I think this is just a thank you for Briscoe to get him into a championship match on a pay-per-view. Unfortunately, they dropped the story of him and Hangman because I thought he was going to get a championship match with him the way that went down with MJF and Briscoe and Hangman, especially after he beat MJF. So at this point, I think Briscoe's going to put him over, and I think Kyle's going to continue because he's the future. He's the young guy, and I think they need to get him a little more time with that championship before he moves into the main title picture.
All right, thank you for that, Dave. And I agree with you. I think it's too soon to take the title off Kyle. Mark Briscoe had his moment, but I do not see him winning that TNT Championship. Oof, we'll go to you next. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, here's a little spoiler alert for the rest of the card, but I think tonight is going to be, tomorrow, Saturday night is going to be
one of the
Don
nights.
Callis night. One of these nights is going to be it's going to be the Don Callis night. Yeah, I'm with Dave and you, Aaron. Kyle Fletcher, he's the future. He's got the belt. He's got Sky Blue. I mean, he's winning in life. It's going to be a good match, going to be competitive, but like I said, a little spoiler, it's going to be a good night to be the Callis family. So Kyle Fletcher will retain his TNT Championship. Again, still should be an entertaining match. Hopefully this is it between them. Like we said earlier, maybe the whole Andrade mess probably threw some other plans in there. Maybe Kyle could have gone for the title, another title shot again against Hangman. Who knows? But yeah, title defense by Kyle. He wins. He goes home with that, and he goes home with Sky.
There you go. Well said, Oofman. Matthew, I'll pass it over to you now. Kyle Fletcher, he's had some match of the year candidates. Do you think this will be a 5-star plus match? What do you think?
I mean, I think a certain hack might give it 5 stars, but, no matter what it is. But no, Kyle's going to win. I feel bad that Briscoe got this big win over MJF and it leads nowhere. It's the Wardlow effect all over again. You beat MJF and you're not doing anything with it, and Briscoe's going to go back to his losing ways, which I like the fact that he was finally winning at a pay-per-view. And now he's going to be back to losing and then back to the rest of the jobbers on the conglomeration, but yeah, Kyle's going to win. I'm not sure who they're going to have Kyle lose to, but I don't see it anytime soon unless he, like another person, may eventually break free of the Timo NWO.
Yeah, I think he's going to be champion for at least the rest of the year, if not well into 2026. So yeah, we're all in agreement on that one. So that's one we've been unanimous on. Let's move on here and see if that trend will continue. All right, Next up, we have, I know, Matthew, this is one of your favorites, the $500K match. A lot of money on the line. The Young Bucks versus the Jurassic Express. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of these matches where they have all the money on the line. It just feels very indie to me. It doesn't feel like something that they really do on a major show. You know, it's the kind of gimmick that you would see if you go to your local wrestling promotion. They might have some big prize money on the line or something like that. I don't know. I'm not really caring about that. Like that adds nothing to this because we all know nobody's really getting that money. And why this match? Why not other matches? Why is it specifically this match where the money's on the line? But of course, the whole gimmick is that the Young Bucks are broke and they're trying to get their money back. They won some and then they lost it in gambling. So now they're trying to win it back again. I don't know. This match didn't need the whole money gimmick as far as I'm concerned. Like it could have just been, a grudge match with these guys. The money thing actually takes it away a little bit, in my opinion. Matthew, I'll go right back to you on this one. Jack Perry, big match after coming back. Do you think the Jurassic Express will win, or will Rod and Todd somehow sneak by with the victory?
Well, I could say this is probably the match I care about the least. It's got 3 people I can't stand in it. The only person I would want to see have any success is Luchasaurus. The other 3, we know why they don't deserve anything good. But the weird thing is, I don't see the Bucks. This would be the Bucks' 3rd loss in a row at a pay-per-view, I think. So it's kind of weird, but they're trying to make Perry the good guy now. And it would be weird to have them lose their first match back. But I said that last pay-per-view with Darby, and they had Darby lose his first singles match back. So I'm not sure, but I'm going to say maybe with help from Omega, the Jurassic Express win. Because, there's that little bit of camaraderie and, Perry did take a shot for Omega last night. So, yeah, I'm going to say that Jurassic Express win, probably with help from Omega. And it's probably going to continue this. We're friends, we're not friends, we're friends, we're not friends for all eternity.
Yeah, because right now Omega's got no feud. His guy Andrade might be gone for a while. We heard all those reports about Andrade, but we'll talk about that another stream. Dave, we'll go over to you now. What do you think's going to happen here? Do you see Kenny Omega showing up and somehow getting involved in this one?
Well, as much as I don't like Rod and Todd as much as Matthew, I really think this match and another tag match we'll talk about in a little while are going to have an effect with each other. I think the Young Bucks are winning because I think it's going to lead to something, their championship match, because eventually this is going to lead back to Edge and Christian, or whoever you want to call them, facing a heel team for the championships. And I just think the Young Bucks are winning this match.
All right, there you go. We're different on this one. We're not going to have the same answers. Oofman, you're up next. What do you think?
Well, the whole money thing, if you recall, the Young Bucks went to Tony Khan pleading to put the money on the line. He obliged. I've been liking this whole poor Bucks thing. I'm not gonna lie, this storyline has gotten my attention. The whole I forgot which one of the Bucks went to the casino, blew it all. It's kind of hilarious. I am laughing. When they were down on their luck, when they first lost EVP titles, the Trons to the music to the ring announcement has been hilarious. So I've been entertained. But this match I think was made for for Rod and Todd to win. They're my choice. I'm picking the Young Bucks winning this because if Jurassic Express do win, the whole gimmick is the money. So what? The Bucks will just continue to be poor. But I think if they win the money, the skits will return. I think it's Matt, or is it Matt or Nick? Whichever one it is that can't handle his finances. I think the shtick will go on. Really, what is the dinosaur going to do with $250K? Come on. So I think this match is made for the Young Bucks to win. Also, as far as Jack Perry goes, even though he is, like Matt said, he is a babyface, he's still wearing the clothes of the scapegoat. So just keep that in mind. But as far as this match goes, yeah, Rod and Toddster, they get the dub.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree on that. Rod and Todd win here. I just feel like they've done all they can do with the poor Young Bucks. We've seen them in all these situations with the Titantron being changed, the music being changed. Like it had a good run, but I really don't think there's enough material there to keep it going. I think it's time to let them win the money and then they're back to just being the normal Young Bucks. But we'll see. I mean, Jurassic Express, it is their first big match back as a team. So yeah, this is probably one of the more difficult matches on the card to predict. And I do think it could go either way, but I'm going to lean towards Rod and Todd winning. Rod and Todd win, LOL. But hey, if Jurassic Express win, cool. Whatever. I'm kind of indifferent to it. But let's move on to the next match. We got a women's match coming up here, singles match. Thekla versus Jamie Hayter. Remember when Thekla debuted, she attacked Jamie Hayter. She did it because Jamie was in the wrong place at the wrong time. So nothing on the line here, no titles or anything. This is just classic grudge match scenario. Dave, I'm going to go to you first on this one. What are your thoughts on this? Jamie Hayter, she was one of the biggest stars in AEW's women's division at one point, but now it feels like she's kind of on the way down. Tekla's on the way up. What do you see happening here?
Yeah, and I'm surprised that Hayter's even on a pay-per-view, to be honest. She had such a good run, and unfortunately, and again, just like with Statlander, she had an injury that cost her, and she was in the middle of a good thing against with Britt Baker and everybody else that was involved at that time. It's a hard match to pick. I would think I would think they want Thekla to get a win because they want another newcomer. And I think there could be interference with this. I mean, we've seen the story about who's been helping her with Julia Hart and Sky Blue. And I just think there's going to be some intervention. I know you like Sky Blue. I've seen the pictures on your page, man. It's pretty cool. But definitely, I think there's going to be some interference. And I think Tekla's going over Jamie Hayter at this point because, like you said, Aaron, she's really not anywhere right now. She's not in a title picture, and she's just there, I think, unfortunately.
All right. Well, there you go. Oof, I'll go over to you next. And do you have any different opinions on that one from what Dave said? Go ahead.
I 100% agree with Dave. I'm going to pick Thekla to get this. It's going to be a hard-fought match. Jamie Hayter, I loved her in her original run. And, yeah, when she went down in the injury, it was a monster bummer. So happy she came back. But I feel that with the way, which we're going to talk about the women's title later on, I think we need to build a couple more heels to challenge the potential winner of the women's match. But yeah, with Monet having a hold on the TBS title, which she now holds the official title, the new record for it, I just feel like we need more heels for the female side to maybe challenge, like I said, the winner of the women's world title match.
Yeah.
Still should be a great match. Yes, I think Julia and my girl Sky, I think they'll make their presence known on ringside. Will be fought hard, and Jamie's going to give Thekla the best she's got. But in the end, Thekla will get her arm raised. So the W to the Spider Lady.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. Oof, Thekla wins and will face the winner of Toni Storm or Toni Storm versus Kris Statlander. Thekla will be one of the next ones in line to challenge for that title. All right, Matthew, 3 for Thekla. You could be the one man out. What are your thoughts?
I'm not, but I do have some interesting thoughts on this one. Tekla's been in AEW since May, and this is really the first big thing they've done with her.
Yeah.
She had the whole feud with Queen Aminata that nobody saw because it was on Collision. So it's kind of weird that this is, she's been there since May, that's what, 4 or 5 months. And now she's getting her first big match. Well, she was in the weird 4-way for the world title where she kind of felt like the odd person. out. But I do see her winning, but also because they already announced it, Hayter challenged Thekla to blood and guts. So you're going to have the heels probably win this one. And then we're going to have blood and guts where the baby faces will probably go over. And I mean, I still don't think they need to have a women's blood and guts match, but you know, if WWE is going to do multiple men and women's matches, I think AEW is probably going to start doing the same thing. I just hope it actually means more to the women. But, you know, if you look at the rest of the card, all the other women are on the, you know, 0-hour catering all-star catering matches. So there's still that. And, you know, they still got this big announcement of the tag title, but they haven't even done anything with it yet. So, you know, but yeah, Tekla's probably
we're on standby. Yeah, we're on standby.
Yeah, what happens first? Tag team title tournament or Andrade returns?
Or Mercedes drops a belt.
Oh.
I think Mercedes dropping it'll be first out of those.
Oh yeah, I think Mercedes drops it because she'll be in the tournament for the tag titles, and then you swap one belt for another, perhaps.
Here's the thing with Mercedes: as soon as she breaks that record, I feel like she's going to drop the title. You know, I think she's champion just so they could break that record. What, Jade Cargill is the record holder, right?
Yeah. But that's weird that she doesn't have a match at the pay-per-view where she's already, you know, she surpassed the record now, but she's not going to have a match.
Well, today she tied the record today, and I think tomorrow she owns the new record.
Which means she could have dropped the record on
Saturday. Matthew, mini rant here. Why didn't they do a big title match on Wednesday? Mercedes is about to break the record. Put her in there in a big match, because then you don't know what's going to happen here. Yeah, like obviously if Mercedes against a lower tier wrestler, she's going to win and break the record. But what if you put her in there with one of your top stars? There's a lot of drama and intrigue. Like, is Mercedes going to make it to break the record? She has to beat a really big name to do it. How did they not do that?
I guess
just like Roman in his 1,000 when he get 1,000 days.
Yeah.
I guess because Mercedes has a match, I think this week, is it this week or next week? She has a match where she's going to get her 11th belt because she's
it's this week. I think it's this weekend, in fact.
Yeah. So I think that's why she's also not at WrestleDream, but she's now going to be 11th belt, Monet. But you make a good point. You know,
so
they had Title Tuesday last week where they had a mystery person, and it ended up not being a huge thing. But you would have thought, here she is, days from breaking the record. If Tony was smart, he would have booked a big match. Even if we knew she was going to win, you know, give people that a little bit of, who could it be? You know, this would have been a time for Hayter or someone, or even Thekla, to maybe have taken on Mercedes. But they didn't do it.
So
I think we need a question on one of the streams: who is going to be the one to beat Monet?
And does she drop the title at Full Gear in Jersey?
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean,
could be.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna move on here. We got our trios match, and I believe it's a tornado match, which to me is like almost the same thing as the street fight that they did a few weeks ago. We got the Hurt Syndicate versus the Demand. Now, I cannot speak for everybody else, but I am ready for this to be done with. I am so over it. I
agree.
I think Hurt Syndicate should beat the hell out of these guys, and let's move on. Do something else with the Hurt Syndicate. I don't care about GOA. I think Ricochet's stock has gone down with these guys. The problem is they don't really stand out to me whatsoever. They're just too big, pretty good wrestlers. I mean, everybody's a good wrestler. To get to AEW, you have to be good. But beyond that, they don't really stand out to me. And I'm just not invested in the feud. So I would love it if Hurt Syndicate just beat these guys up one-sided 3-minute match and we move on. But of course, you got to have your 15, 20, 30-minute bangers every match. So, you know, it's going to be long and competitive. But I would like to see Hurt Syndicate win. They did lose on Dynamite. So to me, that kind of leans towards Hurt Syndicate winning this one and closing out the feud on top. But what do you guys think? Uthman, we'll go to you first on this one. I'm going with Hurt Syndicate. What do you think?
Yeah, they hurt people. Let this hopefully end by now. Like you said, Ricochet, I feel like, yeah, his stock is going down. So how do you bring him back up? Samantha Irving? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that just came to my mind. Bring her out. Has he could brag about, look who I'm with and all that. But yeah, I'm saying Hurt Syndicate they take this one. Also adding an extra bonus point for this, perhaps the debut of one Cedric Alexander.
Oh yeah,
Joining the Hurt Business.
yeah.
So I say Hurt Business wins with the debut of a new star. Hopefully his no compete is done and he is with them. But yes, I think he finally joins the family and they hopefully go for trios titles next or just a Rampage. But yes, Hurt Syndicate takes this on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean that's a possibility if Cedric is available, and they could go for the trios titles, and maybe Lashley could finally challenge Hangman Page or move him up the ladder. I'm not saying Bobby Lashley needs to be world champion, but I'd like to see him at least feud with the world champion, and Hangman Page can beat him and gets a huge win over a top guy over the past several years. Matthew, what do you think about this trios match?
I mean, I've said in chat every time they're in, you do a review on them, there's no demand for the demand. And, Ricochet and the DOA just need to lose. And I'm with Wolfman. I think Hurt Syndicate wins. And if the rumors are true and he hasn't re-signed with TNA, we're going to see Cedric Alexander rejoin the Hurt Syndicate. It's going to be weird, though, because I know there's still the big thing because of who Cedric is married to, Big Swole, one of Tony Khan's all-time favorites. But, if they've managed to hash things out, yeah, I expect Cedric to help either win the match or maybe he'll come out after the match. But, yeah, I think Hurt Syndicate will get a fourth member. Maybe that will mean we'll get Shelton and Cedric as a tag team. And like you said, Lashley can start going after either the TBS title or the main or the TNT title or the world title like he should be.
And maybe he'll go after Mercedes and win that TBS title. There you go. Dave, what do you think about this trios match?
We're gonna make it 4 in a row, and I totally agree with Matthew on the last point he made because we talked about it last night in the stream. How I said I was so sick of this. I'm sick of Ricochet. Is that it's so annoying. I can't stand it. I kind of miss the days like he was in WWE because I think I like that Ricochet, even though he couldn't cut a promo. But I think that's why he needs a mouthpiece. He doesn't need to be heading a faction, that's for sure. But I definitely think Cedric Alexander's coming back. Get Bobby away from all this crap and put him in a singles run because whether he wins the title or not, he'll be so over. And at his age, to look the way he does and the rest, he looks better now than he did years ago. And I think he needs a run, and you need to put Shelton and Cedric back together as a team if he's coming in and let them run wild. And unfortunately, this Ricochet thing, it's got to end. And I think Uthman's right. You got to bring Samantha in to be his manager. I think he's got to have a mouthpiece. She'd be perfect for it. And just got to end this feud. Have them crush them. I know they talk about, you went on your rant, Aaron, about they got to have their bangers. But you know what? If anything should be a squash match, this should be it. They should just rip them apart.
Yes, I agree 100%, but we know that ain't going to happen on an AEW pay-per-view. All right, next up, we have the tag team titles up for grabs. We have Brodido, which is Bandito, and Brody King, defending their titles against Takeshita and Okada of the world-famous Don Callis family. Now, over the past several weeks, we've seen teases of friction between Takeshita and Okada, and this past Wednesday night, Okada was standing tall. So I think we're going to see the champs retain here. Something's going to happen to further the split between Okada and Takeshita. Brodido will retain, and maybe we actually get the moment where Takeshita is kicked out of the Don Callis family. Uthman, I'll go to you on this one. Do you see that scenario playing out, or could you see the the titles change hands and maybe they keep the storyline going for a little bit longer before they split. What do you think, Oof?
No, like I said earlier, the spoiler alert, it's a Don Callis night. We're going to have brand new AEW Tag Team Champions. But I'm not disagreeing with you, Aaron, when it comes to the friction between the Takeshita and Okada. We will see it during the match. And they may do showing my age back in my day, the Austin HBK thing, reluctant tag team partners that are tag champions. They'll be proud that, Don Callis will be over the moon that he's got all these belts, but he's got two guys that really can't stand each other, but for the sake of the family and for the titles, they'll work together. I think the split will come later. Takeshita just became IWGP champion, so for him to win that tournament, become champion, then lose here, that's what I don't see about it here. So brand new tag champs. There will be friction. They won't get along and all that. It's not going to be a rouge or anything like that. Like, oh, they were pulling our legs. No, there will be friction between the two men. But in the end, new tag team champions. And like I said, it'll be a Don Callis type night for that family. So yeah, Takeshita Okada, new world champs.
All right, we're having different opinions on this one with our predictions. Dave, where do you stand on this one?
Well, remember, I mentioned earlier that two matches are kind of in sync with each other. This and the Young Bucks. I think I don't think the heel team's going to win here. I think Brodido's going to keep the title. They've been a good team. I'm glad they finally got Brody into main because he's so good. He's such a good big guy. I think they're going to win. And set up against the Young Bucks to be the title match coming up. The only way I see the Callis team winning, and because I think the split's going to happen, whether it be during the match or after the match, the only way I see them winning is if it's after the match. Maybe I'm going to go old school, like I'm going to show my age like Hoofman, but I'm going to show it back further. Maybe they'll have the Freebird rule where if they break, they can use anybody in the Callis family with Okada as the title holders, where they let the Freebird rule run. But I don't think that's going to happen. I just think that you're going to see the Brodido go over. You're going to see, and I think that's the only way Takeshita could take a loss after winning that title, is because there's friction and something's going to cause them to lose. So it's not going to be him taking the fall. So I just think that's what's going to happen, and you'll see the split. Takeshita will get off on his own on a babyface run, and let him go back to the way he was when he came in. Except now he's known, unlike when he first came in and he was babyface going up the ladder. So that's my prediction.
All right, thank you for that, Dave. And Matthew, we'll throw it over to you.
I mean, I'm in agreement with you and Dave. I think, Brodido wins. Plus, do we really want to see Takeshita with 2 belts and Okada with 4 belts? Do we need more? Do we need more people in AEW holding multiple belts? But yeah, I think if this isn't the split, this is going to lead to the split now. Something's going to happen where, I don't see Okada being the one getting pinned. I think they'll have Takeshita be the one that gets pinned. But yeah, there'll be some sort of friction. There'll be some miscommunication, and, the champions will retain, and we'll start to see the breakup. And I think it's needed because, one, Takeshita's now IWGP champion, and he did it without Don Callis. Right. And he's also one of the few people that has beaten Omega and Ospreay. Think about how big it will be for his career to be the man to beat all 3 Big O's. Okada, Ospreay, and Omega as a mega babyface. And this is where it starts. And maybe at Full Gear, we'll get the Okada Takeshita match, and that's where he'll beat Okada for the whatever the unified title or whatever it's called. But yeah, babyfaces win this time.
All right, Dave, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, there was one thing I did want to mention that I thought was the last straw. last night during Don Callis's birthday party that Okada turned off the TV while Takeshita was speaking, and I just think that the split's got to come very soon. And I think it'll happen Saturday, but Matthew could be right. It could be right after that, but it's got to happen soon.
Yeah. I'm thinking it happens on the pay-per-view, if not very shortly after it. But let's move on now to the next match. We got the AEW Women's Championship up for grabs. Kris Statlander going against the former champion, Timeless Toni Storm, in a one-on-one match. What do you guys think about this one? Kris just won the title in that four-way at All Out, so do you really think there's a chance of her losing it this quickly back to Toni Storm? That's not usually how AEW books things, how Tony Khan books things. When a champion wins, they tend to not lose it back to the former champion right away. I feel there are very few instances where that has happened, if any. So I think Kris Statlander retains here. I don't know if this might be the start of a turn for Toni. I feel like Toni, as interesting as her character has been, she needs some kind of a change of pace, but I could see her going for the tag title, maybe Mina Shirakawa or something like that. That's my prediction at this point. Toni will lose and move on, do something else, do the tag division for a while. You know, they need some star power in that tag division. Dave, I'll go to you first. What do you think about this one?
Well, Aaron, that's an interesting way of thinking about Toni Pablo, a time of change, because I think it is kind of growing stale at this point. The timeless gimmick, we've done it. She's done it for a long time now. She's done a great job with it. She's one of the people that did leave WWE and find a better way than what she was getting treated in WWE with that last Charlotte match. So she's done well. I think it's time for change for her. It's too quick to have Statlander lose at this point. She needs to go on the run because my prediction, it won't be a spoiler. I'm not going to do Paul Heyman, but I think the person that's going to end up taking that title from her, unfortunately, is 11 belt Monet, who won't be 11 belts then. But I think it's going to be her that's going to end up taking the title from her down the road. But Toni's losing here. I think it's time to move on and move into new people with the titles.
Yeah, time to move on from Timeless. Matthew, would you agree with that, or do you think she might win the title back here?
I mean, I agree. Statlander just won it. We've been wanting her to win it for years now. Let her have a big run. I don't expect her to go, a year plus like Toni did, but, let her have a good 6 months. But the big question is, what do you do with Toni after this? She's been the best overall character in AEW, period. But, what more do you do? The whole thing last night was a little weird. The whole, just stripping and then having a fight and then kissing her forehead. But, I think there is a lot of mutual respect between them. And I'm glad we're not doing the whole Statlanders turning heel and then feuding with Willow 800 times, because that's been done to death. But yeah, Statlander needs this first big win on a pay-per-view as champion. And Toni goes off to do something else. Like you said, maybe she teams up with Mina or something. Or maybe she takes some time off. She's earned it and, reinvents her character again.
All right. Thank you for that, Matthew. Oofman, we'll go over to you now.
Yeah, like I said earlier, this is my match that I'm looking forward to the most. As far as the Toni Storm character, I've loved what she's been doing since her loss to Kris Statlander. This no direction type Toni Storm. She's wearing the dress shirt, suspenders, pants look. It's almost with the trench coat, with the hat, like a Carmen Sandiego gumshoe thing. I'm liking this thing. Maybe this is where the new character goes on. But as much as I adore Toni Storm, an honor to meet her. She was so friendly and all that. Yes, I'm agreeing with everybody. Kris Statlander will retain. Give her a good run. Kris Statlander is another one I adore. give her a good run, maybe a couple more months, maybe till the spring or something like that. Let's see what she can do with the title. As far as last night goes, I thought that was great between them. I was dying of laughter when they were with Renee. When Renee took her jacket off, it's like, oh, where's this going? And then they went to the ring. It was just a cat and mouse game. Who can up one the other? But this is going to be a hard fought match. Both are going to give us they're going to show us what they're made of. But yes, in the end, I do believe Statlander will retain. Again, nothing wrong with that. As far as afterwards, what Toni does, yeah, I think she'll probably team up with Mina to give, once they announce the tournament for the women's tag titles, they'll probably be a team. I think the match ends tomorrow with Toni looking again defeated, Statlander standing there, and then Toni will raise her hand. I don't think she's going to turn on her or clothesline her or anything like that. But she'll endorse her, raise her hand, and then leave the ring. So Kris can have her time in the spotlight. But yeah, as far as what Toni does later, yeah, maybe she does take a couple time off for a vacation, or to, like you're saying, reinvent her character. Sad if she won't be at full gear, but hey, that's the way we go. But yeah, Kris Statlander retains the women's championship.
All right, thank you for that. Oof. And now we move on to our 2 main event matches of this show. First up, we'll discuss the I Quit match. Darby Allin versus Jon Moxley. Who will quit? Neither man is a quitter. They both fight to the bitter end on the Dynamite and Collision show Wednesday night. Moxley got the best of Darby first in their prison segment where Pac attacked Darby and there was blood all over the place. And then later on, Moxley gave Darby the paradigm shift on the AEW flag that Darby had taken to the top of Mount Everest. So to me, with this build-up, Moxley looked so strong on this go-home. Seems like we're getting a Darby win here. I don't think it's the end of the Death Riders, though, by any stretch of the imagination. I expect a lot of blood, a lot of violence. We're going to have all sorts of craziness, back scratching, biting, you sick F. Like, what can they do that they haven't done already? Oof, I'll go to you on this one. I say Darby pulls off the victory here, but what do you think?
I agree. I think Darby gets the win here. I unfortunately agree with you as well that this is not the end. This is not the death of the Death Riders. I think they're just going to keep going on. I hope this is the end, but we thought it ended at All In. Or All In or All Out? All Out. All In, yeah. All Out, yeah. We thought that was it. All right, cool. But no, here we are. They're still going. It's like Krusty the Clown. He won't let me stop. Anyway, so yeah, it's still not going on. The $1 million question, you're right, Aaron. What can they do that hasn't been done? The only thing I can honestly think about is somehow Mox is chain tied to something and Mr. Flamethrower makes his way into the match. I mean, honestly, what else can they do? They have the bed springs with the nails in it, the 2x4 that with the barbed wire.
Hey,
what else?
Maybe Darby actually gets to use that Molotov cocktail on him.
There you go. He gets to throw it on his feet, or I don't know. But one of the predictions I'm doing is fire will make its way to this match.
Somebody's gonna get set on fire.
Now that's the thing. I don't know if someone's gonna get it set on fire, but fire will make its presence somehow. I'm just saying, like, again, that's that freaky moment that everyone's gonna start. That the place is gonna explode, where Darby will probably rise from the ground, and there he is holding it. I just know that fire is going to be involved somehow, but in the end, Darby does get the win. No, I do not believe Darby Allin is going to become the new leader of the Death Riders. For the love of God, no. They were teasing it last night. It's like, wait, what? You've been feuding how long? This guy almost murdered you, and now you're going to take over his group? No, that's not happening. I don't know why they did that, but
and isn't Darby's character more or less a loner? Like, I know he teamed with Sting, but that doesn't even make any sense to me that he would want to even join the group.
No, yeah, exactly. When I saw that, I was like, wait, time out. What? That's why, like I said, let's focus on the cinema part where they were in that jail cell, and let's forget what happened afterwards. I mean, it was cool seeing Darby pull out the AEW flag that he took to Mount Everest. That was cool. But let's just focus on the cinema thing part. But yeah, this match, again, what else can they pull off? Only prediction I can think of is Fire will make its way and Darby will get the win. Will Sting show up? I don't think Sting will show up, so let's get that out of the way as well.
Yeah.
But yes, Fire will be used. Will Fire be added as in someone does get lit? I guess we're going to have to sit down and wait. But yes, Darby takes the win, and unfortunately, no, the Death Riders will not end here. So,
all right, thank you for that. Real quick, shout out to Jeremy Dorset, who sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Jeremy. Going back to earlier, says Kris Statlander and Harley Cameron are AEW's version of Wonder Woman and Black Canary. I don't know the character Black Canary, so is that accurate?
Yeah, Black Canary is kind of loud. So I
well,
agree.
that definitely makes sense. I get that. Well, thank you.
Harley's another treasure that she needs to be protected.
Absolutely. Like, she's got a lot of personality in a company that doesn't really focus on personality. So I'm hopeful that they'll capitalize on it. But every time I think they're going to, they take a step back, and she's essentially just in backstage segments. And every once in a while she gets a match on TV. Mostly Collision, but she does get her occasional Dynamite appearance. But again, thank you, Jeremy. Matthew, I'll go to you next. Yeah, this is going to be a violent match. What do you see happening here?
I mean, I said it earlier. This is going to be the clusterfuck of the night. You know, there's going to be fire. There's going to be chains. There's going to be syringes. There's going to be plastic bags. At this point, they need to just pull out a revolver and do Russian roulette, because that's about the only thing left. And, you know, maybe that's how they end it. Maybe Darby finally pulls a gun out and puts it to the back of Moxley's head, and that's how it ends, because I don't know what else they can do that hasn't been overdone, you know, to death. But yeah, this isn't the end of the feud. You know, they're going to at least go to blood and guts.
Yeah.
Because Moxley's got to bleed, and he's got to bleed buckets. And he's got to make a fool of himself because he's badass. But yeah, Darby needs this win. You know, we thought he was going to win last pay-per-view, and he didn't. But of course it took Pac to, you know, help Moxley, so Moxley couldn't even do it on his own. But yeah, Darby needs this win, but how this match goes, I don't know. You know, the AEW, you know, the hardcore AEW fans are going to love it. Everybody else is probably going to hate it, and it's going to be a mess. But how it ends, I don't know. And where it goes from here, I don't know. But I'm in agreement. Death Riders needs to end. This whole storyline. Wasn't Moxley supposed to go on like a long vacation like 3 years ago, and it still hasn't happened? You know, let the man finally have his vacation.
Yes.
Get him up. Like Jericho, get him off TV. Maybe people will actually care when he returns. But we've seen enough Moxley. You know, he actually needs the Roman effect right now. He needs to disappear now and go away, and maybe people will care about that, him as a character. But yeah, but this isn't going to end anytime soon. But Darby needs this win.
All right, thank you for that. I appreciate that, Matthew. And now we'll go over to Dave.
Well, Matthew, it's been so long since he was supposed to take that vacation. The reason he didn't was CM Punk got hurt.
Yeah, one thing after another.
CM Punk has a role in this all over the place.
Yeah.
But Aaron, you stole my thunder. I was going to mention the Molotov cocktail. Because
right.
I said they didn't let him use it. They let them use everything in the book. But when they did that, the security tackled them that night. Darby's got to win this. I don't see him ever quitting in a match. It's kind of like John Cena. You can't put I quit in because he's not going to quit. We haven't seen Moxley quit, but we saw Hangman choke him out with a chain to get him to pass out. Matthew's right. The gun, the only thing they haven't used is a revolver. They should bring back Arn Anderson with the gun segment.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, Darby's going to win this. But by rights, this should have ended the Death Riders because it's really full circle. This all started I know it was Orange Cassidy, but Darby was involved in the beginning of all this. And you would think this or Blood and Guts would be full circle to end the Death Riders. But unfortunately, I don't see that happening. Not when they just got packed back. They add, instead of subtracting, they add Garcia, which that didn't make any. Garcia should never re-signed. If he had a chance to go to WWE, that was the time to go to. I think he made a major mistake in staying there because he's the TNT title run stunk. Then they turn him heel to put him with the, and he's one of the ones in the beginning that fought against the Death Riders too.
Yeah,
he was one of the first ones to go against them. And it's
sometimes if you can't beat them, you
join them. And I've mentioned that before, but I really think that's not ending anytime soon, unfortunately. And we're going to have to put up with them on the TV, maybe less after Blood and Guts, because whichever way you see this coming out, I think the faces are going to win Blood and Guts against them. Whoever is in that group, they're going to beat them. They're going to beat them down, and it might slow them down a little bit. The one thing I loved, because it looked like everybody thought that Statlander was joining them. The best moment on TV with them until that little thing with Darby and Moxley last night was the end of the show a few weeks ago when Statlander flipped off everybody on the Death Riders when she was walking up and they thought she was joining them, and she took out useless Yuta and then flipped off Moxley as she was running away. It's like that was the best. That was one of the best statements because they had been ping-ponging her heel and face too, because they never gave an explanation on why she turned face when she was with I can't remember his name all of a sudden, the guy that's with FTR. She was with him, and then all of a sudden that disappeared. So, but definitely, again, I know I got off subject there. Darby's going to win this one way or another, and it's going to close out the show with probably a 45-minute match, because they're going to milk every minute out of this one.
All right. Thank you, Dave. And now we move on to our main event of the show. Hangman Adam Page defending the AEW World Championship against the former champion. Remember, Samoa Joe was AEW champion back in 2024. Page versus Joe, kind of a lackluster buildup, in my opinion. Very random, out of nowhere. Just comes off to me like Page needed an opponent for the pay-per-view, so they did this thing with Joe. I'm not really feeling it that much, even though I'm sure it'll be a really good match. Page always delivers. Samoa Joe is Samoa Joe. Should be a fun one, but man, I just wish they had spent more time building up this one and letting it slow burn instead of just throwing it out there, because it really just feels like a one-off filler match for Page. I don't think Page is losing the title anytime soon, especially to Samoa Joe. So yeah, should be a fun match, but yeah, Adam Page retains. I don't have too much else to say about it. Dave, I'll go back to you. What are your thoughts?
I definitely agree. I think this is going to be a filler until MJF comes back, because I think he's the next in line. Now, this might be unfavorable opinion to other people, but but it's not to the extent. It's just similar. I love Joe, great wrestler, but it seems like he's in championship matches to lose, and it seems like what Nyla Rose used to do on the female side. Every time there was a champion, she was the first person that went against them, and unfortunately, Joe's being put in that spot, but he's older too. He's had his injury problems, but he's been a favorite of mine since TNA, back before WWE, and I think it's going to be a good match. It's going to be a real good match, but Hangman's winning this.
All right, thank you for that, Dave. Matthew, we'll go to you next.
I mean, I'm in agreement with Dave. I mean, I love Joe. Joe's amazing. Joe has proven, he will do whatever you ask of him. No questions asked. Look at how professional he was handling the situation with Punk and then going out there and putting Punk over. The man deserves the world. But he's also said he's winding down, and it's kind of crazy that, Samoa Joe is going to be retiring soon.
Yeah.
But he's also got massive success now as a voice actor, as a TV star in shows like Twisted Metal. So he's got a future ahead of him past wrestling. The only problem with, like you said, this build is kind of the standard Hangman build. Hangman wants X person at his best. And then they also threw in that Hangman has never beaten Joe. So normally whenever we hear X has not beaten X, unless it's a rare time, Rhea Ripley, normally that person wins the match. So yeah, I think Hangman's winning. I mean, I'd love to see Joe win. I'd love to see Joe have one more world title win. I don't think he needs to be in this weird trios match. Yes, they're trios champions, but both Hobbs and Joe need to be single stars. And maybe this will eventually lead to that breakup, but Hangman's winning, but I would love it if we got a swerve and Joe won. But yeah, Hangman, I don't know who's losing or who Hangman is losing to unless it is MJF, but we don't know when he's coming back either.
All right. Thank you for that, Matthew. And we'll wrap it up with Oof. Go ahead, Oof.
Yeah, I agree with Matt and Dave. I love me some Joey Samoa. I love the fact that, kind of like what Dave said, I do enjoy it seeing Joe in world title matches, but like Dave said, unfortunately, he comes on the losing end. Loved it when he did win the AEW title. Should have won at least a championship in WWE, either the old Fruit Loop belt or just something back then. But yeah, Samoa Joe, you can't go wrong with him. I the little that I did watch TNA back in the day, it was clips on YouTube of Samoa Joe. But like we're all saying, Hangman he's a great champion. I do dig me some Hangman too. Some cowboy shoot is all good and all that. He will retain. Who takes it off of Hangman? It is a returning MJF. But like Matthew said, when Full Gear? I'm just going back to that because it's here. But who knows? But yeah, unfortunately, Joe was in this situation where they needed a body to put in front of Hangman. And like, I forgot if it was Dave or Matthew who said it. Joe's loyal, and TK was probably like, hey, you and Hangman for the title. And Joe was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. He's a company guy. He probably doesn't really ever say no. So more props to him about that. So it's going to be a great hard-fought match. But in the end, Hangman will retain. And yeah, maybe we finally do see a returning MJF. The whole contract thing, you now have to announce it a week prior. So maybe it is the week before Full Gear, and we finally see the match, Hangman and MJF. But as far as Saturday goes, retaining the championship is Cowboy Shizzle himself, Hangman Adam Page.
All right. Thank you very much, Oof. And on that note, we will go ahead and do our final plugs and thoughts before we wrap this one up. Dave, I'll go over to you first. Thank you, as always, for being part of the team here. It's always a pleasure to have you on. Any final thoughts or plugs?
Anytime, Aaron. I love you. I love it. It's been great meeting all of you, and I like to now know I have a NoDQ family and friends, and so always say yes to NoDQ. It looks like Oofman's a little warmer today. And up in New Jersey too. I don't see the beanie.
But I got a haircut like promised. Beanie's right there.
I got a haircut before the last stream because was starting to look bad down here. But I appreciate again anytime I'd love to be part of the predictions anytime. And getting to talk to wrestling with you guys because it's been more than a pleasure. And that's all I got to say.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that, Dave. And Matthew, we'll go to you next.
I mean, buy the shirt, check out the NoDQ. We have to find a better comment, but that's always a good one. But, I'm thankful to be part, like Dave said, I'm thankful to be part of the NoDQ family. We may not always agree, but we have a good time. And, it should be a good, though the build is somewhat, the show should be good. And, I look forward to more wrestling. Look forward to SmackDown tomorrow, back at its normal time. and, just grateful to be a part of this and grateful that I can, continue to be a part of this. So thank you.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you on. Oofman, we'll go ahead over to you next.
Yep. So again, gentlemen, thank you so much. Awesome time. Check out my channel, my series, Gavin with Oof. It's been successful. The last 2 videos I did were top 10 lists. Actually, 2 videos ago was a top 10 list. Got a lot of reviews. So I'm going to start attacking some of my personal favorite top 10s here and there, or top 5, depending what it is. And I, too, am going to join in from the panel video on Tuesday. So Mr. Tito, if you're out there, come on. I know you're watching, Mr. Tito. So Aaron sent out the challenge. I'm doubling up on it. Come on, Tito. Let's have some fun on the stream. So, but again, guys, thank you so much. Enjoy the video, the pay-per-view on tomorrow. Aaron, looking forward to your SmackDown review tomorrow. And your review, I'm sure you're going to go probably 1 a.m. on Saturday night, Sunday morning after the show. Hopefully TK will think of you and not go too late. Hopefully it'll end by at least midnight for your sake and all the other reviewers' sake. I hope it's done by midnight, so you get your review in by 12:30. We could all go to sleep at a reasonable time. But again, like we're saying, should be a great show. AEW usually does always deliver. And again, just cheap plug again, getting excited for WrestleDream to see what happens afterwards, to get hyped up for Full Gear in Jersey. So shout out to the Wolfpack out there. We'll be treading our way to the Prudential Center for Full Gear next month. So excited to see the outcomes of WrestleDream to get hyped up now for Full Gear. And again, would be honored to be in that prediction show as well.
All right. Thank you for that. Oof. Have a great night, everyone. We hope you enjoyed the predictions video, and I will be back very late. Well, probably Sunday morning. I was going to say late Saturday, but let's face it, early Sunday morning to recap the show. And then, of course, we got SmackDown on Friday night before that show. So check out those streams. Have a great weekend, everyone. Enjoy Full Gear. Say yes to NoDQ.com, and we will see you all next time.
Adios.